To Manny Gomez. He's a former FBI man. And, Manny, you've got to be thinking to yourself right now, if indeed these facts are what they are, which is that we have one person in custody who perhaps had one device, perhaps two, perhaps it went off prematurely. This is the reporting we're getting right now. Manny, what is the NYPD and the perhaps the FBI, if they are on the scene, thinking about right now and worried about right now?
Well, they're, number one, worried about isolating and containing anybody that's in the area. From the subway system, from the depot, et cetera, and ensuring that they are safe in case there is another device out there. And then, of course, if there are other devices, if there are other accomplices that may be planning on doing the same thing elsewhere in the city. Obviously, they wanted, this individual wanted to hit a high target area. The Port Authority at the height of rush hour is exactly that. Tens of thousands of people commute through there daily, so it was a target-rich environment for this individual, and they're going to want to find out as quickly as possible who this person is, who his associates are, friends, family. The FBI is going to be going out in the field, New York, throughout the country. Intelligence agencies will be talking to their sources internationally, and this is happening as we speak, given that we fortunately got this person alive and we will very quickly be able to identify who he is. This is going to be happening as we speak to try to ascertain if this person has other people working with him and if there is a possibility of a conspiracy.
And also, Manny, the danger of police having to initially approach this suspect, especially if he was wearing a bomb vest. What does that mean, and what does that tell you of what had to transpire this morning in order to stop this man?
Again, the NYPD is tremendously trained in these situations, but now they had what was one of their worst fears, which is a bomber who is clearly prepared to take his own life to be able to take as many other lives as possible. The good news is that apparently the device went off prematurely and hurt himself and a couple of other people, but obviously it could have gone a lot worse. But this is something that is a game changer. If we're going to have suicide bombers here like we have overseas, that is going to be a problem because obviously.
And Manny, as he was telling us, and we'll get back to him in a moment, but again, unprecedented in our area, and as he called it, a game changer when you discuss suicide bombers. When Rena said he was wearing that vest and there were possibly wires attached to it, we have never had a situation in this area, in the New York City metropolitan area, that I recall.
No, in fact, it is one of the more difficult, from a terror perspective, to convince someone to carry out a suicide act. And we should emphasize right now, he was wearing a vest. He perhaps had his bomb on with him. Whether indeed he was a suicide bomber, we do not know for sure. But certainly the speculation is there. And it is a very difficult job for terrorist organizations to recruit suicide bombers, in fact, because they don't always carry out the act. They may even, in some cases, they'll go to the scene and not carry out the act. We don't know what the situation was in this case.
And Manny, that possibly could be the situation this time.
Well, what we're hearing right now, and again, this is happening as we speak, it could have been the situation here. We don't know yet, but if it was, again, that would be a game changer because that has never happened in the continental U.S. And if they are successful in recruiting suicide bombers, we're going to have a problem. So fortunately, this was avoided, and very fortunately, we have this person alive. And we will very quickly identify and figure out who this individual is and who he is associated with to be able to ascertain and prevent somebody else, if it is a cell, if he is being trained, recruited, helped out within here in the United States or outside elsewhere.
I was going to say, Manny, is there any indication for you from the evidence that you have in front of you whether or not this guy would seem more professional, amateur? I mean, the indications would be he wasn't able to carry out his act and he may have hurt himself, and you'd say, okay, that's indications of perhaps an amateur operation. But from your trained eye, are there any indications otherwise from that?
No, actually, a lot of these bombing attempts are thwarted on their own due to premature explosion, things of that nature. A lot of them do go wrong internationally. Obviously, that's what appears to have happened here. But the investigation will obviously tell by the forensics of the explosive device, how sophisticated it is, how the wiring, what type of materials were used in the pipe bomb, and that in and of itself will be able to determine if this person was helped with creating this bomb. The signature of the bomb itself will tell us what organization and perhaps even what terrorist bomb maker was the person who invented this bomb, who created the techniques for this bomb. So the forensics will tell us a lot. Unfortunately, given that one of the devices apparently was taken undetonated, is going to give us a lot of information. The FID, the Forensic Investigative Division of the FBI, of the NYPD, along with the Forensics Division of the FBI, will be all over that undetonated bomb to try to ascertain exactly what footprint, what forensic evidence will detail as to what the sophistication of the bomb is, matched to the person himself, and that will tell us if this bomb was given to him by an outside source, was he able to make this bomb himself, and perhaps even what organization was helping him in doing this attack.